Have you ever gotten so immersed in a video game that you lost track of time? Then you know how games can alter your mood. But did you know that more and more professionals in the medical community are embracing games as a form of therapy? It's called digital therapeutics, or DTX, and its practitioners are on the leading edge of the digital health revolution. Here are 5 things that you need to know about digital therapeutics, courtesy of Ryan Douglas, co-founder of Deepwell DTX. Some games are already proving to be effective mental health treatments, but these early successes often happen somewhat by accident.
The most wildly successful mental health treatments have been commercially built video games. They were completely accidentally therapeutic. It's a lot like someone went out in the forest, they found these mushrooms, some of them killed you, some of them just filled your belly, and in the middle, they found this psychedelic effect that we're now figuring out is has all of these potential therapeutic properties. Early data says this looks more therapeutic than other things we've done. Like it's going to attach itself to a greater level of the population and have a higher degree of success than some of the things we've seen before.
Of course, not all games are good for you. So, which type of games are most beneficial for promoting health?
We know 4 ways to get a game to be therapeutic. You have motion. So extra games are working really well, right? Distraction. Distraction is working very well at pain management and things like that. Social constructs, just overcoming loneliness alone changes people's mental health. And then biofeedback loops. We can get you to do a thing that gets vagal nerve stimulation right through your body. Take breaths and well, especially while you move and do other things as well. We know these all work.
It turns out that games can be particularly effective at fighting depression and stress. Check out these stunning results of a recent study that featured Nintendo's classic game, Mario Odyssey.
The one that's amazing, that's going to take more time to understand is pure play. Because when we look at some of the most remarkable studies, like the one that came out recently on Mario Odyssey, where there was 3 groups that were given different tasks. One was on drugs and talk therapy. One was doing puzzler games and one was playing Mario Odyssey for 6 weeks. All of this population was diagnosed and had been diagnosed for a considerable period of time with major depressive disorder, a very hard thing to treat. And in the drugs and talk therapy, really your standard kind of almost no change, which is what we expect in people that have already been diagnosed. The brain teaser games, they didn't do anything. And that's pretty consistent with a lot of what we've seen about brain teasers. 48% of the people who played Mario Odyssey for 6 weeks were no longer able to store high enough on a personal inventory that they would be considered to have major depressive disorder. If a pharmaceutical had that kind of response, people would be like, whoa. But when it's a game, the first thing that comes is skepticism. Well, what if they have to keep playing the game forever? Well, they have to keep taking the medication forever. Stress has like a 57% negative impact onto people. So if you are truly a chronically stressed person, you could expect that you're going to get physically sick as well. Games have this ability to bring that stress level down. And that puts us in a place where we're more available for therapy. So what it looks like we could do is reduce the dosage of drugs. This is super important because a lot of those drugs, especially the new things that are coming out, the biologics that are solving a lot of these problems for us in immunotherapies, for instance, they have a carcinogenic component to them. And so if we can get them down in dosage with the same level of effect, we can have a much more robust therapeutic.
Digital therapeutics are promising, but not yet fully embraced by the medical community. And that's a bit of a problem for companies that want to build a business around therapeutic games.
Today, the FDA is only really willing to clear a video game as a prescriptive device. So we've seen that happen a couple times, but there is no reimbursement for it. So that puts a real disconnect on the care. What we're working with the agency to do is clear it as an over-the-counter device so folks could choose to get a hold of it themselves. Even though it's a more sophisticated approval, it can reduce the cost of sustaining those games in the market. So understanding that we have to get the FDA to agree to these things, agree that they're available publicly and that the permission to use the words like stress, anxiety, and depression. And then we got to get busy working with reimbursement to show them value, to show them that what you've come up with costs less and is more effective. Not the other way around, is more effective and potentially costs less. That's not how insurance works.
So, how do you build a great therapeutic game? Well, for starters, you need to integrate the perspective of game designers and therapy designers. And frankly, that's not an easy task.
Video games have suffered from this thing for a very long time. People want this attraction that we've seen over 50 years of games, but they don't really have respect or knowledge for what it takes to make a good video game. The best game designers in this world are probably the best behavioral scientists or observational behavioral scientists we have in the 21st century. They have a process and they have a way of doing it. And it's not gamification. It starts at this kernel of play that is worked and worked until it feels like it's something that is really attractive. Therapy designers are that intersection of the science, the engineering and medicine, figure out where the therapeutic aspects are in that game, and really importantly, work in service of the game designer. So instead of that more reverse thing we saw in gamification, the designer was brought in to gamify something that was already maybe pre-cooked or pre-canned. The therapy designer's job is to look at the therapeutic, present it to the game designer relative to gameplay. And then if that isn't working for the game designer, if it is not fitting in the play loops, if it's not fun, it's to go out and find more opportunities for therapy. If your therapeutic delivery mechanism is the game and your game is itself primarily therapeutic, and the only way that happens it was somebody is heavily involved to a flow state that's going to have to be led by a game designer. Here you are with a 50-year mental health emergency. The World Health Organization was telling us that we don't get control of this situation by 2030. This is going to be the leading cause of mortality. We're sitting on the precipice of the first ever over-the-counter treatment for mental health ever. There's never been one approved. And it won't be amazing if the first one's a video game. I think media can have a huge part to play. I don't think anything other than something as powerful as media and story can move the needle.
While it's still early, digital therapeutics are starting to deliver real, tangible benefits, like lowering healthcare costs, reducing drug dosages, and leveraging the mood-altering power of play. For my complete interview with Ryan Douglas, watch this video next. And to hear from other leaders in digital wellness, check out these videos. Let's get smarter together. I'll see you soon.